Wait, where's Tom? Hi, Tom. Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting. Hi there. Thanks for joining. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had no quorum until
just a few seconds ago. So. Okay, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we most definitely have a quorum today, so we can proceed with our action items. So public comment is the first thing on our agenda. Are there any public attendees who'd like to speak today?
Hi, should I just speak?
Yes.
Give your name, Will, and then you have 3 minutes.
3
so
minutes.
Will emailed me this last week. Will is my former neighbor and landlord.
Yeah.
When I first moved to Boulder a long time ago, and he emailed me with an idea, and I said, it's a great idea. You need to go talk to the board.
Okay,
Thanks.
awesome.
I'm Will Eiserman at 1880 Telluride Lane in Boulder. And I'm a part of the larger Boulder improv theater community here and have had the pleasure of using the theater a couple of times, both for practice purposes as well as some performances. And it was a really wonderful experience working with your staff here and having that incredible space, which we really view as, an amazing asset in this community. And I know that you all grappled with how to make that, more readily available. And as an artistic community here, we're always looking for spaces to practice in, to learn in, to have meetups in, and to have performances in. And this is like a stellar asset for the community, which, like so many other spaces here, sits unused way more often than we wish it would be. And so I was thinking about the skill set of the people that are in our community who are experienced people who have been in theater, who know lighting boards, who know sound boards, who know how to respect spaces, and thinking, is there a way that we could offer our volunteer time to help offset some of the costs? I mean, I'm naive to what your challenges all are. I know that. But I wanted to just float that idea that the people that I'm thinking about are responsible people that could be entrusted with being able to respectfully help, facilitate use of that space for our own groups at least. And I'd like you to think about whether there's any feasibility of that. Right now, I think that we're all confused about whether that space is available or not, what it takes to use it. There's been a lot of different kinds of communication about whether it is or what conditions it's available under. And I think some people have just given up even asking or looking at it. But I sure would like to see it be something that we could access. You know how many theaters, like schools, churches, like there's a bunch of places here that aren't available to artists. And I would love to see at least this quasi-public space be something we could more reliably use. So that's it.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, we
Appreciate that perspective.
I feel like that's a program that's always kind of, under consideration for how it's gonna work. So
So I think we're going into our strategic planning in the next few months. Obviously, the theater is beloved, and we're also in contract negotiations with the union. And so I don't know how this will play out, but I'm glad you came to mention the prospect of what somebody in the community would really like to see.
Can you let Nadina?
Do we have, can I just ask a related question? Do we have any examples of where we've used volunteers as staff, substitutes for staff in any programmatic way?
We try to maintain, because we were always a union shop before we became a district, we try to maintain strict separation of duties. That may be something we need to look at.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be a negotiated item. Is that the path we'd go?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you. I'll head out, but
Yeah.
thanks for all you do. for
Yeah,
our
there's
There's a bunch of
community.
legislators in the theater right now.
Right.
Go listen to them. Fair elections.
Oh,
and
I think
money.
I'll stay
I
here.
They consume the parking lot.
Oh,
They
good.
did today, they did. Thanks
I'm
so
sure
much.
you are unsung heroes of our community. Thanks, David.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, great. And anyone else for public comment? I don't think so. Is there anyone online who wanted to speak as a public attendee? Okay, we'll close public comment. And next we have finance memos and public hearing.
So I'm going to kick this over to Jennifer. As we talked about last time, every year, we didn't get the audit. So we do have the audit in your packet tonight. And I guess we should probably go through that first. And Lillian is here to walk us through the audit. You take it away, Lillian.
Yes, hi, my name's Lillian. I have been the manager and now partner over Boulder Public Library's audit since the start. So I work closely with a audit. We have 3 staff that come for, we come on site one day and we do interviews with their staff to review your internal controls and also to just get to know everyone in the organization. And then we spend about the rest of the week looking through every account on your balance sheet, basically verifying your cash, testing your accounts payable, making sure your payroll accruals are correct. And then of course we do some calculation as well of your pension liabilities. That's with Colorado Para. Those are calculated from an actuary report. So we add those in as well. And so then we come up with your audited financials. Let me get those. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
No.
Not yet.
Oh, I'll try it again. There we go.
Now we can.
Perfect. So most importantly, we issued an unmodified opinion. That's basically a clean opinion. That means that your financial statements are materially accurate. There's not too much to cover that is necessarily new, except all these calculations of the pension and OPEB liability. The actuary reports are always 1 year behind, so your contributions last year are what calculate the liability at December 31st, 2024, which is the most available report. So it's new this year for the financials, and then you can see them. They're only on a government-wide basis, so they add in, and they're not reported on the general fund on a modified accrual basis. So that's kind of the biggest change from prior year. Any questions on the financials? Okay, I'll stop sharing really quick and just pull up the board letter. Okay. So every audit, we issue a board letter. This just communicates if we had any issues, if we implemented new accounting policies, basically anything you need to know about the audit that's not directly disclosed in the financial statements. So Adriana and Jennifer worked really hard during the year to get us everything we needed. We had no issues during the audit. We had no difficulties in dealing with management. They did a wonderful job. They were prepared and responsive, which is always what you want to see. There were no major material corrections of misstatements. Also a good sign. That means the information that you're being fed through the year is more likely to be correct and isn't like going to have major accrual adjustments at year end. There is a new accounting standard coming. It's called GASB 103. It will require a little more detail in your management discussion and analysis. And then we'll have a little bit more detail in the budget to actual in the back. This basically, if you amend your budget, I can show. So I'll show this really quick. When you amend your budget, we have the original and final budget. If you have any changes now, we'll have to calculate a variance and an explanation for why the budget was amended, and that will be disclosed in the financials. So those are the two major changes. Is this page will explain amendments, and then your management discussion analysis will just require a little bit more detail. Fairly straightforward. Any other questions on the audit or our process?
Yeah, I have a question. As it went through before, you were talking about para, and there was a number there as to what we've got assets, and then there was a liability number, which looked to me about $2 million difference. Do we have a shortfall we have to worry about with para?
No, so generally, all of the para divisions, there are 4 divisions. There's a local government division and a school division. They're generally have a net pension liability. The calculation basically takes your contribution to para out of everyone's and applies that proportionate share to what the actuary says is the total plan's net pension liability. So it's a very forward-looking number, basically saying the plan has a pension liability, and if we were to take accrued, this is your portion, this is how much it is. It is not a number that you would pay out tomorrow by any means. It just suggests that there may be more funding due to the pension because it has a liability.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Lillian, can you explain to the board, like every year I see this number and I freak out, and I know it's just an accounting process, but on the adjustments on page C2, it shows a $3.1 million adjustment onto salaries and benefits. I should say expenditures and expenses under salaries and benefits. And so could you just explain what goes into that number and that calculation and why it's the case that GASB requires that we report it this way?
Yeah, so this is again part of the para liability. So any changes in your pension liability is considered a pension expense, which is a benefit to salaries. So because this is the first year of your para implementation, and he correctly pointed out you have $2 million in assets that are actuarial deferrals, and then 4.7 million approximately in liabilities. This difference is going to be the major driver, including this difference of what is here in this adjustment column. So it's purely as an effect of increasing or decreasing your pension liabilities. Hopefully that makes the most sense. The rest of this, I think, is a little more explanatory. This is capitalized assets. Capital outlays would be capital expenditures. They get capitalized on a full accrual. Depreciation isn't a general fund reported expense for government. And then principal payments go against your loan liability, which is really for you is our leases. So these are really kind of the effect of the full accrual and the pension liabilities are all what's changing these figures.
This might be a question for Jennifer, but Jennifer, like, how do we actually budget our pension liability? Is this like every year we are putting money into an account that will ultimately be used to pay out pensions? Or is this every year we are just factoring into the budget what our pension obligation is and paying it out of the current tax intake? Like, what's our actual mechanism here?
Every payroll, we run a report and calculate the employee's contribution to their plans based on their adjusted salary. Certain employees who were hired, I think, before maybe January 2017 or 19 have a different way to calculate their salary. And when we submit that report, we submit it to Para, and then Para calculates our portion due to them and sends us a bill. So we make our contributions twice a month.
Yeah, so your budget would be a percentage of your payroll. So the employer contributes, and there is a schedule disclosure in the back. This would be to the para, but also to the OPEB as other post-employment benefits. So the employer portion this year was 13.83% on your covered payroll. That would be everyone that is included in those benefits. So that is really the library district's budget, is the contributions. And then the plan is what's really covering the benefits on the back end. There's no additional expense.
So that
we're not the custodian of those funds, though, right? Ultimately, we're paying them to the state, and the state is the one that'll pay off the pension obligations in the future.
Correct.
Yeah.
The state.
Sure.
Any other questions?
It is our, we go through this every year, but para is I think now our second largest expense of benefits. So it's slightly, Jennifer may correct me more. It is parallel with health insurance.
Yeah.
So the cost for a para and for health insurance annually is roughly around 1.6, 1.7.
Okay. And then next we have the grant fund budget amendment.
Do we need to provide anything?
Yeah, and I want to make sure I'm clear. So number D, the operating budget adjustment, is that the action item that's in the legal as well? Yeah.
It is.
Okay, okay. So we will have to do the steps.
We don't have to vote on the audit, though.
Do we have to vote to accept it or anything?
I don't remember. Courtney?
We should.
We should.
Yeah, just as presented.
Okay. You want to move to
I motion
Accept.
to accept the audit as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lillian.
Thanks.
There's no problem signing. Yeah, makes it a lot easier for us.
The reason our audits are so clean is really down to Adriana and her team's her efforts. I have really nothing to do with it, so I just wanted to make sure you understood that she gets all the credit. I don't. And so there's 3 adjustments before you in the packet. The first 2 are grant fund budget amendments. So through the audit process, we were told that we hadn't submitted a grant budget to the state for 2025. The first year in 2024, our grant budget was rolled into the same fund as our general fund. So we separated those 2 funds so we could track grants more detailed in 25. So we failed to submit it. So all I need from you is to approve that attachment B, and that will be filed with the state and recorded in the audit as completed. And then likewise, we just learned this was a requirement. So we're going to ask that you review and approve the 2026 grant budget. That will also be filed with the state along with the operating budget adjustment, but I'll stop there and see if you have any questions about the grant budgets.
So I know that this is not a question about the current budget, but maybe process going forward. Will we just be including the grant amounts in our regular budget process going forward? I know historically we've kind of just ignored it in our normal budgeting.
The timing is different for the 2 of them. So the foundation board, as you well know, They discussed their budget in November, but then the distribution to the library doesn't happen until March or April of March of the following year. And so we will have to kind of keep going back, I think, to adjust it as we receive the money. I mean, if something, I don't know, if something with the stock market, the foundation is independent 501c3, they could change their commitments that they made in the budget by a budget.
So we would just expect to go through this process each year?
They take a vote on the payout percentage, and it can be up to 5%, which we budget for.
Mhm.
And of course, something can happen, and they can decide to go lower than 5% payout, which would affect the total.
Okay, and the timing has to be in the time frame that they're approving that?
Yeah, we've got a very thoughtful annual grant timeline.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on the grant fund? Kim?
Sylvia, I think this may answer some of the questions if I'm hearing them right, but we're going to probably recommend for 2027 budget that you have an entry. If you noticed on the audit, there was an entry for grant revenue in the general fund. So we'll recommend that you just have a grant revenue item in your general fund. You can put in a plug figure, you can put in 0, whatever you want to do. And then when those funds actually are determined in April, you would amend the budget if you need to. And you'll only need to do that if the grant funds change the bottom line of the general fund. So you could get a bunch of revenue, which you will from the foundation, that doesn't require any kind of budget amendment. And that way, it'll always be included in your budget. It may be 0 that may have to be amended, or whatever happens during the year. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Okay, anybody else questions on that? It will probably help make it simpler for all of us to track that going forward. All right, and so can I just ask the question? So do we need to take the steps that are outlined in your packet regarding amending the budget? Do we need to do that now before we approve the change in the grant fund budgets?
No, you can do it in the order that it is here.
Okay. All right, and we need to adopt them separately, 2025 and 2026, or can it just be one motion?
You do one motion, but you do need to have a quick public hearing just to open it.
That was what I was asking, was whether we needed to do that. Okay, so I guess I will ask, let me read the language that you had in your memo. Okay, so have we seen both 2025 and 2026? Do we need to do it twice since we're also looking at operating budget as well? We haven't talked about operating budget yet.
So there isn't one for the operating budget. I think that was just confusion about how the grant fund was being reflected.
Okay.
But
there is adjustment to the operating budget.
There is one.
Okay.
Attachment D is to the operating budget. So maybe we should review the operating budget and then we can do the public attendee piece. That might make it.
Okie dokie. So each year around this time, we go back and balance out our budget according to how things are flowing, because we can't always predict expenses. And I'm happy to report that we've done a lot of teamwork to save money for some big projects. And that's going to allow us, if you approve, to move those funds to pay for other things like unexpected IT expenses and HVAC repairs. I'm scrolling through the audit here, trying to get to the page with that. Oh my goodness, this is so long.
69?
69.
Yeah.
This was numbered. I don't know what
Yes.
it is in the PDF.
Yes.
Okay. That'll get me closer. Oh, yes. Perfect. So We're still working through transitioning in new cleaning staff. I think we have 2 more folks to hire for the main library, and that's currently under recruitment. We hired 4 others earlier this year. And so this $75,000 I'm deducting from personnel will go to cover the costs that we've paid the contractor to clean the main library up until the point when the new cleaners are hired. I'm thinking they're going to be hired this month. So that'll be moved. I had to increase the administrative and office budget. This is primarily related to paper costs. We give our patrons 10 free prints a day, and they take advantage of it. And some have even found a workaround to get more than that. So paper is costing a lot of money this year, a lot more than it has in the past. Let's see. I'm moving 18,000 into security guard services. This is mostly to cover the costs of security alarm monitoring and response. When the police have to come and respond to an alarm, we're charged a fee. And so again, those costs are unpredictable. And so I have to move some money there to balance that out. The next item, the $9,000 to HR and finance, is just a correction. The budget was placed under a general benefits, and it's actually a consultant cost or a subscription cost. We have a third-party vendor track our FMLA and short-term and long-term disability leaves for our staff. And so that cost really belongs under HR and finance consultation. A big chunk, 22,300, I can't say it, is coming out of architects and engineering and other consultants. This is where we had money for the website and calendar project. I think we had like $250,000 budgeted for that, and that was based on an RFI we did last year, as well as no, I think that's it for there. And then there's some other consulting. Oh, those strategic plan consulting costs were there as well. So I'm happy to say that the staff team, the project team that's working on the website, has found kind of an off-the-shelf version of software that is low cost as compared to having a custom-built website and calendar. And there are no consulting costs with that, so we were able to take those funds and move them to other places in the budget. So 100,000 went to building and equipment repair for HVAC repairs. 35K is going into computer hardware and software repair, and 45K into phone and internet. Then the other services line, we also had, this is where I put a small amount of contingency. So usually we have like 50 to 80K where we like to have that much under other services, just as a backup in case we need to cover a cost, an unexpected cost somewhere else. Other services also are budgeted in most departments, and so that's why the number is bigger than the contingency. There's other things that go under there, but that is looking to be underspent by quite a bit by the end of the year. So we're going to take that 9K to administrative and office for the paper, 16K for security guard services and equipment repair. That's for the alarm monitoring and response fees. and then another 100K. So a total of 200K we're moving into building and utilities for HVAC repairs. And so if you scroll down to building and utilities, you see 275K is being added there. That's the 75K for the consulting, or sorry, the custodial services that we had budgeted in personnel, but we actually spent on contract. And then 200K each, or 100K each from the architects, engineering, and other services categories for HVAC repairs. And then there's about 130K total if you scroll down to the total IT equipment and software support going into IT to cover various line items that are projected to go over budget by these amounts. And that's all of the adjustments that we're requesting.
Okay, any questions for Jennifer?
Do you know what's driving the internet cost increase? Was that just we under budgeted it before?
I think, yes, I think it was, it might have been under budgeted, and I think there was also an internet cost that I wasn't aware of last year or this year that hit us this year. We're tidying up our budget process so the actual budget managers have more responsibility in telling me what they need. Before, in the past couple of years, I've based it on actual spending and cost increase trends that we're seeing across the board. Or if we change a program or a service, we'll change the budget there. But now this year we're having our budget managers tell us exactly what they need and why they need it.
I love that, like, regarding the website and the, off the shelf, like, I love that kind of, oh yeah, we can just do this. Let's just figure out how to do this ourselves and do this. Like, that's so librarian-like, I have to say.
And I forgot to mention the strategic plan savings. We did hire a consultant to help with the community engagement, but I'd say there's probably at least 25 to 30 staff who have had some role in either helping with the engagement, data gathering, data analysis. And so we've been able to avoid costs for consulting there as well. And it's been, I think, a really educational process for those that have been involved this time around, because it's not typically something that we involve like down into the frontline staff to create. So we're tapping some skills that we didn't know we had.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yes. Benita?
So, thank you. I just had a question about the HVAC repairs. And so total's about 300,000. What, is it just this library? I mean, or is it?
Yeah, it's this library. Almost all of our systems failed. So we have 5 component units at least that make up the HVAC system for a period of time, which if you guys didn't hear about, I'm surprised.
No.
Or if you were
No. And we got the
here, you
tour
probably
and all that. I just, just looking at
So
100,000 from each of.
Nearly all of them had failed at one point or another. And at one point, I think when you guys were walking through here, there were 4 of the 5 component parts that were really not working. So we have had them all repaired. And as of last Friday, it is running.
And
Feels good.
when you say it is running, is it like fixed, or does it stop? I mean, it's upgraded, right?
Yes. We'll see, right? So we did want to.
Not fixed. Some of the redundant equipment is not fixed.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. And all of it is overdue for replacement. And you'll see that in the facilities plan that I'll bring to you at the retreat. I also want to say that the HVAC system at Gun Barrel died, and that was a significant portion of that cost. And I'm not certain whether or not that's a landlord or a tenant responsibility. Nevertheless, we paid for it to get it fixed. And Reynolds also had a much lower cost repair to their cooling system this year so far.
Oh, right. Yeah. So are we looking into, on the Gun Barrel side, are we trying to determine whether it's a landlord cost
When
or?
I get the final bills, we'll send it to the landlord and ask them to take care of it. It's
Okay,
my understanding of the lease we have is their responsibility.
okay, great. Okay. Anyone else? Nope. All right, so I think then if there's no other comments or discussion, what we would do next is we would open a public hearing on the proposed amendments and allow anyone to comment that wishes to do so. And given that there are no more public attendees, I'm going to close the public hearing. And now I would take a motion, and do we need to designate each particular one, the 2025 grant fund? No, we can just say the amendments. Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion? Okay. Any seconds?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's start.
Kim, do we need to like fill out the whole, you have like a whole
Yes, you
drafted,
do.
okay, resolution here, so do we need to pass that resolution, or is what we just did sufficient?
It will all come out of the financials that you've just adjusted, so no need to add that in your motion, if that's the question.
I think the question is, do we need to vote again using the language you have here?
Just all you need is a straight vote to approve each of these amendments. You don't need
Okay, all right, that's sufficient. And then next we would move on to director updates, and you can tell us the contract negotiation progress update is.
Yeah, so the contract negotiation progress update, as I think I mentioned last month, we did the ASME union did give us the names of 10 staff members who will be on the negotiating team. There are 3 on the ASME team and 2 alternates from the staff. They did request a lot of information. We have sent all of that information. They confirmed it, and I believe now we have a date for the first meeting, which is September 14th. That's a full day of meetings that day for the staff negotiating team. And for the library team, which is led by Jennifer and with Tim McCall, our public services manager, and Libby, our HR manager. That's our team. So we'll have a full day on September 14th. They've said they were going to bring a full contract at that meeting, and so it'll be good. We'll have something to react to. Any questions about that?
Do we give our staff members time off to attend that meeting, or how does that work?
We pay them for their time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I chose to do that rather than negotiate and say, let's have 5 members or 6. They had discussions among their team. I think all of them, it's a broad representation of staff. I can't remember, I think one from at least each building and one from a lot of the work groups, disproportionately public service, but so is the rest of our staff.
Are they compensated for their time?
We pay them for their time.
Okay.
That's correct. So the strategic plan update, as Jennifer kind of alluded to, we've had an enormous outpouring of staff who have contributed to the process, especially in the engagement part process and in the analysis of data process. There was a couple of teams that worked on it. We got great results. We do have the preliminary things back from the consultant. I'm reviewing some of that data with Tom tomorrow. If anyone else would like to have a preview into it, we're going to be going over it in depth at the retreat. I'm mainly, since there is so much data, about what will be the best use of your time. And I feel like the consultant did a great job. We've used this consultant before, but really, I think she did a great job of compiling the community feedback that we got, and it was 129 hour-long interviews, 40 or 50 intercept interviews, and something like 1,100 survey responses. So it's a lot of different data points, tons of commentary, pages and pages and pages of it. And summarizing that into really a couple of documents, which we'll look at and see. The one I like the best is a series of tension statements, which really doesn't tell us what to do, but rather what you need to think about. And so we will look probably at those at the retreat. So it's kind of like, what are some of them? I love the library, but I don't use it as much as I used to. I love all the things you have, but I can't find anything on your webpage. So it's a lot of different statements like that, but it's a compilation of a lot of different things. And then one of my favorite documents, I don't know if we'll actually review it, but if you would like to see it at some point, is impact stories. And so they frame a lot of impact stories that we garnered through the intercept interviews and the actual direct interviews that we did with 129 people. And it was, I mean, it's powerful in the sense in which you understand, reading them, you can kind of get a sense of like, wow, we're hitting on a lot of levels, and in some ways that I don't even know that we've completely comprehended the level of impact that we represent in the lives of members of the community. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation tomorrow. We'll figure out a good way to frame some of it for the retreat. What we're hoping to do is be able to frame, 3 or 4 areas that we can come out with where we're hoping to address them. I think some of them are pretty obvious, but I leave that to you guys to see what's obvious to you. Yes, Benita?
I was just curious about your meeting time, because maybe I'm very interested and would just maybe join in if I could.
Oh, tomorrow we're meeting at 8 a.m.
And so you're on phone?
On Zoom.
On Zoom.
On Teams.
Oh, really? So could I join in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's the limit. Only 2 people are doing it at once.
And we're good.
So yeah, so
We're done.
tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'll send you the link tonight.
Okay.
And that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. Chris?
Yeah, so with the Boulder Library Foundation, I'm happy to share that we had a challenge grant opportunity to recruit monthly donors. Just to let you know where our baseline was, this was sort of a dormant program. We had 13 supporters that were giving on a monthly basis, and I see a couple of people that jumped in and joined what became 50 new monthly donors. So we were looking for 31, one a day in the month of July, and we exceeded that. So we pulled down the $5,000 match with recurring gifts that are worth more than $12,000 a year. And if people are happy with their experience, they tend to keep going after a year. So that's been wonderfully successful. I just talked with the donor that put up the match, and she said, well, that was exciting. When's the next match? So this is great. We're in a virtuous cycle, and thank you for Benita and Lisa for jumping in on that. Your support is really appreciated. And it was great work with the library's communications team. On the last day of the challenge, we still had not gotten there, and then we far exceeded it when the blast went out to everybody on the newsletter list. So that was great. We're heading into budget season just like you all, and we have good trend and forecasting data that mean that we're budgeting for growth next year. And so that's good news for the cause we exist to support. And we're looking forward to receiving the annual grant proposal this month. Just so you all know, the basic outline of the timeline there is that in the middle of August, we received the requests that David and his team curate from various staff around the library system. And then that gives us, the timing is good because then we're heading into our own budgeting season. We're able to figure out how to hopefully accommodate these requests. And then we pass our budget hopefully in November. And then in January, we're hearing from the library about the reports on the grants that were in play that previous year. And then in February, our board's doing 2 things. They are making their decision, as I said, on financially, how did everything do, and so what's our payout? And of course, that's a big driver, along with our fundraising, as to the consideration and approval of the grant request. So I know it's a long windup from August into the next February, into a couple weeks after that. It's March by the time we give the grant for that year. But those are some of the components and the reason for the timing. It's nice to have that in play also as we fundraise, and we continue to fundraise throughout the year based on, here are the things that the foundation's supporting that you could support as well. So that's a little bit about our process. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, let's move to trustee matters. I'm guessing the discussion of potential ballot item can also fall into the legal counsel update, since we can just do, if that's all right.
Or just do the legal counsel updates first.
Yeah, either way. I think there's only a few things for trustees, so we might as well just kick it out. I did want, so there is an updated retreat meeting agenda. I don't know, David, if you wanted to say any more about that.
We adjusted the timeline a little bit to concentrate on the finances in the morning. In the afternoon, we'll be talking about the strategic plan, which could go on. I want to be there for you guys for all kinds of discussions.
Right.
And then you have your self-assessment at the end. We had initially scheduled the self-assessment at the beginning. So this one gives you, gives us the opportunity to wrap up some of the financial stuff in the morning. We'll give Adriana the opportunity on her husband's birthday to spend some time with him. And then in the afternoon, we'll talk about strategic planning and you guys do your self-assessment. If we don't make it through all the time to, what I did say that Sylvia and Andy was, if we don't get to the self-assessment, you could get to another time.
Yeah, that's good. And then speaking of the self-assessment, so Libby will send that out now? Is that ready to go?
If you would like.
Yes. Okay. Can we give ourselves a deadline for when we complete this, so that way if we do have a chance to discuss it on the 23rd that we can do so? I mean, so if she sends it out tomorrow,
yep.
How much time would she need to like compile the responses?
The system compiles it for her. You and she will see the results as they come in.
Okay.
You could remind somebody if they haven't filled it out. But,
okay.
But yeah, you call it whatever you want.
So is everyone okay? Is 2 weeks enough time for everyone to fill that out? It doesn't really take that much time. Will that work for Nadine and Tom? 2 weeks? Okay, so we'll say that we kind of internally agree that we will complete those by the 18th. Yeah. Okay, awesome. And then I think I just wanted to ask was, Benita, you mentioned CalCon last time, and there was like we had an opportunity to sign up by, I think yesterday. I'm just curious if any of us signed up. I can't go that day. Okay.
I would have loved to.
I know, me too. There was some good things on that agenda.
I think it's in Aurora this year.
It is in Aurora.
It'll be in the mountains next year.
Yeah.
Go when it's in the mountains. They move it around every year. Like,
okay, good to know.
Pick a time when they do it.
If I may, I can say that Kitty and I will be presenting.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
They're trying to create a track that we're piloting for them. And the idea would be that, in following years, there'd be a more and more expanded period of concentrated, focus for those libraries out there that are, either working with their foundations or wanting to spin one up.
Okay.
So it'll be kind of an intro to governance and fundraising from a foundation perspective for libraries.
That's great. Yeah. Good. Okay, and anything else in trustee matters?
Real quick before we go to the ballot item,
yeah.
Can we just settle on? So we have a city council meeting on Thursday, and
yes.
We sent a letter to city council a week ago. Thank you,
yes.
Lisa and Sylvia.
Absolutely,
and everyone
everybody
worked on that.
I mean, Lisa and Doug did that. So
I think Doug, he's not here.
Yeah.
I think the question is, what do we want to do in terms of public comment? Sylvia, I know we had discussed. If at least three of us want to comment, we can basically combine time and one of us gets to speak for longer. But we need to decide who those people would be.
Yeah, so I've signed up too. I've signed up already.
Okay, you signed up to full time?
Yes.
I did.
And I actually listed you as
oh, you already did.
Third. I already said it was you because I talked to you.
No, that's fine.
So,
we're good.
Okay.
I didn't the third. I didn't realize David was your third.
Yeah, he's the third.
So you don't need David and I to sign up for anything at this point?
No, you have to sign. You still have to officially sign up.
Okay, so I need to put those same names on the form because the form also asks me.
Yes.
Who are the three people.
Yes. So you do. Yes. Okay. I mean, is anyone else? Are you going to come to?
I may.
Okay. Lisa,
I'm
I'm
trying to make some space here.
Do we want?
In a private capacity, I've spoken to 4 of the council members, and Aaron is calling me tomorrow. So I've registered and our letter was super helpful to people.
Oh, great. Yes. And I think that listen changes on the council may also make things interesting as well. So
I would just add that I did hear that it is possible that they would consider delaying it for a year for that sort of position. That would be fantastic.
okay. Well,
My personal view is I don't know that a year-long delay helps us. It just means we're having the same discussion a year from now, and arguably the momentum's with us now, and it may not be in a year.
Yeah, but at least we'd be at the table in those discussions. As opposed to
They can easily go a year and forget to talk to us.
Well, I don't think they would do that.
yeah, I think
Sun events also will happen. We'll see some effects from that. I mean, we'll have more information. This one's good.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, great. Now I think we are, if there's no other trustee matters, let's go ahead and move on to legal counsel updates. Kim? Do we need to go into executive on your memo?
Unless you know what? Yeah, let's do.
Okay. Would someone like to?
I motion for an executive session to discuss legal strategy with respect to the included legal memo.
Can we get a second? Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. There it is. We're in executive.
Thanks, Chris.
Do you have anything?
We're doing.
Can you record now?
Kim, are you recording?
Are you recording now, Ken?
Yep. Sorry to have hesitated there so much, but
No, I just assumed, but.
yeah, I think the first issue that's in the memo that's talking about the temp.
We're out. Okay, so now let's move to talking about whether or not we would want to consider a ballot initiative to waive the 10.5% revenue limitation. I have a question, and maybe this is for us to discuss, and this is something that David mentioned earlier when I was talking with him. How do we think that like the consideration, so let's say that the DDA vote and moves it forward to the, the eligible electors, how do we think that having this on the ballot at the same time as the DDA might be an issue?
I've thought about that a little bit. I think the DDA has so few electors.
Yeah.
Like the number of people that would see both on their ballot is not enough to swing an election.
Good point.
There is the political consideration of like, does this suddenly then turn into some kind of a referendum on the DDA that folks that can't vote on the DDA use this as a proxy? There is that risk, but like I kind of feel like, I mean, that's an easy messaging thing to fix, right? No one's going to go voting in favor of raising library funding is actually a vote in support of the DDA. Like I feel like if we can't win that messaging argument, we have bigger problems.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there is a consideration there, Tom. I don't know if you have for.
Yeah, no, I think it's a legitimate. I saw Doug's note that he doesn't think it's a good idea. From the calls I've had around, I think the progressives, there's lots of people who are organizing and really, really angry about the DDA. And we could get caught up into that. And just the fact that this is an election in a bad economy where people are feeling not seen, and we're going to come and put something on the ballot that isn't really going to raise their taxes, but it's a little confusing. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't dismiss that we get caught up in something. We're going to have to spend money to pass it. Somebody is, to educate folks. And aren't we capped from communicating about it after we put it on the ballot?
Yes. The library is. Yeah. Us as trustees in our individual capacities are not.
As individuals, but not as a board.
You can pass one resolution in support. And when we draft those resolutions, there's a lot of whereas clauses explaining what that support stems from. Yeah.
But then, Chris, it turns to you and the foundation board to spend the money to pass it?
I mean, we would, I assume it would go like the district went, where there would need to be a citizens group that formed in support of this, assuming we wanted to campaign a role. I mean, there's a version of this where we just put it on the ballot and hope for the best, right? But if we wanted to campaign, my assumption is there would need to be a citizens group that formed. The citizens group could ask the foundation for support.
Yeah, and the money side of things is sure a grant from the foundation to support the citizens initiative is helpful, but also our fundraising support for direct support to the citizens is also helpful. So it's actually an ask of time and money, and we stand ready to support you.
Awesome. Benita?
Well, I just have the thought that the DDA isn't going to be on the ballot. So, but yet I think about the other items that are going to be on the ballot, the county, and the child care, I think it's child care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Issue, and the city and the infrastructure, South Boulder Rec Center and other things. And I think we're in a very weak economic time, and I don't know if people are going to pay attention to this to understand it. I don't know. I mean, that's what I would be concerned about, is just the ability to communicate what this is. I'm thinking about that. Remember, the district didn't pass with this overwhelming majority of support, but it did pass majority, simple majority. But the, so I'm just cautious about it. Just in terms of timing, but in terms of is it going to, why now? Could we postpone this? For another year or a different time, or, with maybe more public education aligned with this. And maybe the new legislature will also, statewide, and new governor might think about some of these things differently too.
One could hope.
Yeah. It just seems, is it worth the expense, I think we have to consider for this.
Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, I double down on that. I think with anything, we have to always ask if the juice is worth the squeeze. We have limited resources, limited time, limited money, and we're in a tough situation where we need the library focused, the foundation focused. And this is something that even if we were to be successful, we could still be successful for the short run, not for the long run.
Right.
And so we might still put our shoulders behind this, work on educating people, cash our chips, and still have something happen where we are back at doing this in a few years, especially with the governorship changing. I think this is an opportunity for us to kind of sit back and see how other political situations fall, and then decide if we want to take this on. And the other thing I would say is I'm in a few library groups, like just meetup groups, including stitching and whatnot. And I was trying to see what they knew about the district, see what they knew about this. And the overall general feeling is we already gave you money. We did this for the library, we did this for you. I fear that this is going to come across, even though it is not, but because it's a complicated issue, that it will come across as we're asking for more. And it's so close to when the district passed that I don't know that we have those chips built up yet.
Yeah. David, did you want to? Any thoughts or anything we haven't covered that might be?
I think this is a great discussion. You'll see at the retreat, we are resetting our financial expectations based on economic indicators.
Big time.
And so even if we had a successful election, we're not going to see in excess of 5.25 at any point in the near future, not according to our calculations. We're a ways out from that. I think by the time we do, which might be 2030 or 2032, then we may want to have to reconsider it, because the limitation that we have, that is unlike almost any other community in Colorado, is that our growth is dependent upon assessed value. Broomfield's growing like crazy. They may see growth of 5.25 every year or bigger, right? And so their cap limits them. Our growth only occurs every 2 years during the assessment of value. There's not new growth equivalent to, 6% or 7% in Boulder ever. And so I don't think we will see those days again. And so the assessed value calculation is really where all of our money hinges. And, the we're 10 months away from the assessor turning in their final report to, that will set our budget for 28, 29, right? It's not, I don't think it's a mystery at this point what that will be, and we're projecting it to be downward. Because of the new legislative action that in the attempt to control it and reset Gallagher in some ways, the 10% exemption on the first $700,000 of property value. So that will significantly impact us in a place where there's no new growth. It's all value growth. That will hit on that in almost every household.
Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head what the average property growth rate in the district is over the last 50 years?
Over the last 50 years, it was slightly over 4.5. So, but what that looks like is like there's an 8 or 9% every 2 years. Right. It's not, I mean, there is some growth, right? 1, 2%. It's intermittent really since the 70s, but there are periods of growth that Boulder sees, the Hollywood neighborhood, 28th Street Mall. There are things that happen that are real growth, the hotels that contribute to overall growth. But those are very few and far between. It's not like developing whole new neighborhoods, building a whole new shopping mall. That's not something that happens in Boulder right now.
Yeah, but there are 10 plus years in the last 50 with growth above 5.25%. Assess that, like property tax growth above that.
Yeah, the rates the county was suggesting that we change that 4.5% annual to 5.5% annual. Right as we became a district, they asked us that question based on the last 10 years, not the last 50. We stayed with the notion of between 4 to 4.5, beating inflation. But in the 10 years prior to the district formation, the assessed values beat inflation in some cases by 4%, right? 5%. Like there was insane difference between inflation rates and the growth in overall value, because assessed value was growing. Residential was like 30% one year. Commercial was not. The previous year was 15. The previous 2 years was 15 or 9. It was always keen growth. So that was probably unsustainable.
So I mean, I guess the way I'm thinking about this is we are going to need to fix this at some point. Like we're limited in upside and not downside right now, and that's a bad position to be in. In the next decade, I would expect we have multiple years that we hit this cap, right? Like we're in a weird period right now, but we are going to regress to the mean at some point, and maybe sooner than we expect. So I also think if we do this, we need to do it in an even year election. I don't have a lot of data on that. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be easier to win in an even year election because you get more people voting. I also think we need to do it before property values are going up. Like you actually do want to do this in a year when property values are flat or down, because otherwise everyone's paying attention to their property bill, and right now they aren't. So I think the question is, a number of those things are true right now. We could wait 2 years. Are we going to miss out on this upside the next 2 years? Probably not. I mean, I think David's right. Like it does seem like the growth is more than 2 years out. But 2 years from now, we could also be in a position where like the growth is clearly on the horizon, and all of a sudden people are a lot more reticent to vote for something that might raise their taxes in a way that they aren't today. So, I mean, I can go either way. I think the big risk is if we vote on this now and the legislature screws it up again the next year, we're still doing it again in 2 years, which is an unfortunate waste of time and resources. Yes. So I guess that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. I would be fine to do it now. I think we'd have a decent chance of passing it, mainly because I think there's a lot of people that just vote yes on these across the board, and they tend to pass in Boulder County without a lot of campaigning. I don't know there would be organized opposition. There might be. But we could also try it in 2 years with the risk being, I mean, I think we pretty much have to do it in 2 years. I don't know that we want to wait 4 years. I think if we're waiting 4 years, we're now within the window of like we could be hitting this cap, and now we have a problem.
So, real quick,
I was just going to say, I think there's an opportunity for us to also with more time to launch something like this on the shoulders of like a bigger strategic plan. I think when the district passed, a lot of the inspiration behind it is look at what we're going to build, look at what we're going to do. There was like such a clear story and benefits. I think right now we're more on the defensive side, but I think as we create more of a, like, here's where we're going, here's the vision, it's super exciting, then I think this becomes more of like part of that momentum and that story.
Sure. Yeah. Nadine?
I would say I agree very much with what Lisa is saying. I think I would rather hold and wait. I think especially because like my sentiment is like what she hears in knitting club. I think it would come off across that we're like asking for more money. And I think when I think about the Library Foundation and before I was even part of this, like there were signs around, there was campaigning, like you knew what you were getting for your money. And I think that whether like rightly or not with everything around childcare, I think that the library is going to get lumped into it, like seen as like the same category of thing. And like, I don't agree with you, Andy. Like, I don't think people are just going to blanket vote yes. Like, I think they're going to see it as like, I'm asking for more money, like another handout that came, like that you gave, like we gave you a few years ago. So I would rather hold. And I think when there's a general election, like then maybe there's like more things that are happening on a ballot and people are going to get like a little hot loss and then hopefully they mark yes. But this one, I think that they may read more. So I don't know. I would prefer to hold.
And that's the sense I'm getting from, I think, pretty much everyone. So at this point, then that seems like the direction we're taking. We don't have to take any action today. We're not voting. We don't need to vote to not take action. So okay. All right. Great. Anything else for the good of the Benita?
No, I was just looking and just, we will meet again then on Thursday, August 20th, right?
Yes, for the dinner with the city council.
Right.
Yes.
Do we need
a retreat?
Next. Not this week. I got confused and like my calendar's. I was thinking I was doing all of this week.
Can we talk briefly about the dinner with council and do we want to prepare?
Sure.
What do we want to prepare, I guess, if anything? I know in the past we've done like a little overview of what the library's accomplished.
So before we move to that really quickly, I just wanted to suggest and more ask, I would really like to talk succession planning. I know I've had very, very top of mind conversations with David about it, but I think we need to, at least for me as a new board member, I would like to understand how we're thinking about succession planning for the board, or for the leadership of the library in the next 10 years, 5 years, and who's on board, who are we training, like just more of those details related to that. So I don't know if it's the offsite or but the retreat or some other place, but I definitely want to make sure we cover that at some point.
Okay. Do you feel like retreat? That's a good.
I don't know if I can have something together by the retreat, but I would love to hear more.
Yeah.
What you have in mind.
Okay. So perhaps we could put it on like one of the next agendas.
So let's leave it open for the retreat.
Okay.
I think it makes a sense that you probably have a lot of ideas.
Some ideas?
Less ideas and more like I want to have the conversation of, some of the conversation about how you're thinking about the people that you're training up and who are those people and how can we help, and just like really picking your brain about the succession planning.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a marker of a healthy organization to have that element in planning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless, you're planning on staying forever.
Which we would be okay with.
You're gonna roll me up and
Which is
dump me in
totally
the creek.
fine. Totally good. Yeah.
With a cake. Dump that in the creek in a
With the
tube.
cake.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, so getting back to your thought about the city council meeting, I mean, I definitely think we need to, again, raise the issue about the ownership of buildings.
So, okay, and before we get to specific issues, I guess it's, do you want to present? And
I'll do it. I typically do.
Yep.
We've just sent them our annual report.
Yes.
I will give them a 3-minute overview of the annual report. All of our numbers trending upward. It all looks good. It does include our finances. We'll open it up if they have any questions about our finances. And then I think that leads into what happened last time that we went to their place. It involved, last time they came here, we had a substantive discussion because we closed.
It was great.
When we went to their place a year and a half ago, it became friendly conversation and people said all kinds of things about where they were going for their trips. And so I don't know that we completely controlled the agenda in their place.
Well, I think it's different when it's right before a meeting. So they're like looking at their watches and just ready to leave to get
good point.
I do think if we want any hope of controlling the agenda, though, we should tack some slides onto your presentation and have Sylvia speak to whatever talking points we want to speak to.
And I think the last meeting, the one that was here, we did talk about, again, the building changing ownership.
Yeah, I mean, it came up, and that's why I make sure we reflected it in the minutes, and so we should look at those again. But it was also I think I asked them, what are you hearing? What kind of feedback do you have for us? How are we doing? And, kind of force them into saying all nice things to us.
I'm almost curious to put the question into the room to them, ask them to share their most recent experience of being in the library.
All right.
Okay.
Just like how have you used it in the last year or something? Like it's again, I have no idea whether any of them ever come in.
Oh, they do in the coffee shop.
There are 3 of them here. 2 of them hold office hours.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But they are regular. I mean, at least 3 of them are heavy users.
Nice. Okay,
So do you want to just prepare some remarks?
that's fine, yeah.
And I guess if they don't let us give them, they don't let us give them,
Right,
but
correct.
it probably behooves us to have something in
Sure,
case
yeah,
we have
sure.
the opportunity to steer the discussion.
Absolutely. Okay.
But we should make sure we do drive that conversation because it is, a short period of time and they're gonna be, antsy and want to get up and go to the meeting.
Absolutely.
What is desired outcome for that? Because I think, obviously we want to say that about the buildings and whatnot, but do we want to start a conversation for a more formalized process to get this done and get them to say yes in that meeting? Or what?
It's scheduled in the IGA to occur in 2027.
Okay, so that's a specific ask.
I think you want to prep them for that conversation.
Yes.
It's an ongoing conversation. The city staff recommended that the buildings go to the library when the district formed,
Perfect.
right?
Okay.
It became a political issue, which then resulted in a 6-3 vote.
Right.
There are a couple of people on that 6 who I think maybe have changed their mind.
Yeah.
There are 3 at 6 who are no longer on city council.
Mm.
And so that's a different opening day to discuss it. I feel like, you guys need to decide what you want to do, but I feel like rather than just saying just give us all the property, is there a way that we can have a conversation about how these properties can be used as value both for some city goals and for the library's goals?
It's a great articulation.
As you know, we have 3 or 4 really old buildings that we're going to be hard strapped to fix. And I think, partly acceding to maybe some city goals around some of the properties may help us get what we want, right? And so I think they're opening a conversation about how can we help you achieve some of your goals and also achieve our goals at the same time might be a helpful way to broach that conversation.
I like that.
I think the other thing that might come up aside from the buildings, and we'll see what happens this week in council, but if they don't put the DDA on the ballot this week, and they are planning it till next year, we should probably at least have a bullet in there about, we've sent them this letter.
Yep.
And we'd like to make sure we continue that discussion.
We still want
moving
those
forward.
things, yes.
So David, I've heard you say though that you weren't in agreement about asking for the buildings or bringing up that topic. Is that still in your thinking?
No. You need to keep doing it. I talk to the city every month, right? I meet with the city manager's office, and they just remind me and point to the section in the IGA which says we'll revisit this in 2027. I keep saying we need to get the conversation going because it's not just going to happen overnight in 2027. And their opinion is no, it's pretty simple. We can just deed you the property. But that's not happening. It becomes then a political issue. I think we need, the best way that I can think of is to find a situation which both benefits the city. We can find a pathway for them to have a victory as well as us have a victory and not make it all just a PR nightmare for us and a PR nightmare for the city, which it can potentially be, right? Let's give away our greatest assets. Or the library's deciding they can't keep a building open because the roof is caving in, right? There is a pathway that points, I think, can point to a beneficial situation both for the city and for us. There have been libraries around the country who figured this out. More than 100. Chicago is probably the best example, where they were repeatedly using old city-owned library land to redevelop a site to meet housing goals, affordable housing goals, and also library space, right? So these are, we've never been successful in being in those conversations with developers. I asked when I was with the city, can I be in this conversation with the developer that's developing the site? I never was included, but there's a possibility there that we could get new libraries built to replace old ones that best suits our needs and also meets the goals, the articulated stated goals of the city to increase housing availability. So I guess I want you to at least consider that when we go into it and say, like, you know, it's not just like give us the buildings. Giving us the buildings was a political issue that the council couldn't see past last time. Last time we talked about it, like, you know, it's hard to see the reason why we would want to invest a bunch of money in old buildings when you guys didn't take care of them for years. Like, that was part of the conversation. If we owned it, we would feel greater responsibility. But I don't know that either one of those paths are going to get us to success, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one of them feels like you're giving us something and you're going to lose it, and the other one feels like a partnership.
Yeah.
For a successful outcome.
And in some cases may involve a third party, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's possible. It's what's being talked about downtown right now, right? Like that, if this building comes up, somebody says.
There's another part into this conversation is we're going to go through a period. We're going into a period where not only are we having stressed old buildings and the city has stressed old buildings, the school district's going to have to start making decisions on whether they're going to keep schools open.
Yeah, right.
And what there isn't, as far as I can tell, and I think I get a sense from some of the council conversations I've had, nobody's really convened a committee or even a conversation across all the property owners, call them, as to what are your plans? How do we merge some of these goals? And reacting when things are blowing up, like South Boulder Rec Center. So maybe that's part of the conversation in this. We know next year is when we're going to deal with the buildings by the IGA. Can we start a conversation this year on how that fits in with the other plans of the city and the other properties in the city that are going through transition?
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. Anybody else? And then just a reminder, we do not have the meeting that we originally thought we were going to have on the 18th, since we are meeting on the 20th. For the dinner only, and then that's all it is. And then we have the retreat on the Sunday, the 23rd.
So this Thursday is public comment at
Yes.
City Council.
Correct.
Next Tuesday is nothing. Next Thursday is dinner with City Council.
Yes.
And then the
Sunday, the 23rd.
Sunday after that is
Retreat.
Okay.
Yes.
What time is the dinner?
It's early and
4:30.
4:45.
4:45.
Okay, thank you.
So no meeting on the 18th?
No meeting on the 18th. Okay, if there is nothing further, and I don't think there is, we can adjourn the meeting. Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Kim.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good discussions, you guys.
I can.
It's a great discussion.